Oh, hello, world. Welcome to Comic Book News. I'm your old pal, Dan Shahin. Oh, boy. Today, it's another $1 Million Mailbox. That's right. We're going to open up the $1 Million Comics Cam, and I'm going to take a look at all the awesome comics that people have been mailing to me. Like, do you know what it's like to get up in the morning, walk to the post office, open it up, and there's free comics waiting for you? I don't think that you do. I don't know that you can know. How could you know? But I can know, and I can help you know vicariously through me. And all you got to do is send those free comics to me. Where? Comic Book News with Dan Shahin, P.O. Box 1163, Arcata, California, 95518. Yeah, I got to look at my own address when I'm reading it because I don't remember it yet. But what are you going to do? So, man, send me those comics. And make sure to also send, if you've got any, like, you know, stickers or bookmarks or little things to promote your comics that you want to see on the $1 Million Comics Cam, will you send them with it? Might even help to send a little note, a little thing, say who you are, or say if you watch the show, what's going on, talk about your comic a little bit. You know what I mean? Marketing. So we're going to pay special attention to that stuff tonight and what I got in the package. And boy, what packages I've got. We got so many things. You can look in the description down there below this video, and you're going to see links, right? You're going to see links to all the cool stuff we're covering. Plus, we're going to talk about some other stuff. And I got to talk with me, the same guy we got last time. This worked out so great last time. I can't wait to bring back in our old pal Larry Young from AIT Planet Lar. I've read all these comics. Larry has not. So he's going to get his first cold look. In fact, he told me he even resisted the urge to click on those links. So he knows nothing. This is just like a cold showing of these books in front of a professional comics publisher. Speaking of which, let's talk to that professional comics publisher. Let's bring him in right now. Here he is, Commander Larry Young.
Hey, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming back, Larry. I had such a great time last time.
Yeah, thank you. I did too. I mean, come on. I love talking to you. And talking about comics. It's my favorite guy talking about my favorite thing.
Well, we don't get enough of that in this world. We don't get enough fun. So we're going to talk about a few things tonight. We're going to talk about, of course, we're going to show comics. We're going to hop into the $1 Million Comics Cam. Which has recently had an upgrade. It's not quite the $1 trillion comic cam I'm hoping for, but maybe it's the $1 billion. I don't know. But we'll be in there. But first, let's talk about a couple things, man. There's a couple things in the news that I thought, let's talk to Larry. Let's talk about, for a second, a hot second, about, okay, DC Comics, man. Pandemic hit. DC said, bye-bye, Diamond. They dropped. They said, we're starting new distributors. They took the two biggest retailing accounts in the direct market and said, you guys are now distributors. gave half the country to one, half the country to another. 6 months later, almost to the day, they said bye-bye to UCS, which is Midtown Comics out of New York, and has said Lunar, which is also known as DCBS. Lunar, you're it for the country now. You are the sole exclusive distributor of DC comic pamphlets to North America. Larry, what does all this mean? They're thrashing, they're going this way, they're going that way. Monopolies are bad, right? Oh no, regional monopolies are good. Oh wait, no, monopolies are great. So what's going on?
I gotta say, I don't know what they were doing. They started off, like you said, during the pandemic. Like, stores were closed. It was what was it, March or April or May? I don't know exactly when. But they're like, no, you can't sell comics. And oh, by the way, right when Diamond was ramping up for whatever their stuff was left in the warehouse, do I have this right? They went, oh no, we're not going with Diamond anymore. It's Midtown and
Yes.
DC. Yes, and it was like, that was cool, because just as a fan, I didn't know that Midtown Comics was distributing to all their freelancers and stuff in the first place. So they had like an infrastructure already. They just had to scale it up, which that right there blew my mind.
That's like, Midtown you're talking about.
Right, Midtown, yeah. And I don't know anything about the DCBS. That's a mail order place, right? So I mean, that's
discount comic book service.
Right. So already they're taking points away from retailers, and that whole mess. Just, I'm super retailer friendly. I know I worked with Hibbs at Comics Experience for years, so I know what some of the, just the bare bones of what some of the concerns are. And like, I mean, comics is such a low margin thing anyway. To like that whole thing about giving your info to your sales to a competitor is just, that whole thing. It was like, DC, what are you doing? And so now, let's change it again, right? That's
the part that I'm not getting. I mean, the timing
I don't
of
understand it at all.
Almost 6 months to the day after like they made the announcement makes me think maybe they've had a trial and they're like, we're gonna go 6 months, we're gonna see who's the best, and then you're all it. But the fact that during that they had negotiations going on with Diamond, okay, and they asked for an extension on the deal so they could wait a little longer. Diamond said, okay, here's an extension. Then they asked for another extension. Diamond said, well, we got a couple questions that we would like to answer. Maybe we could talk about that. And they said, okay, we're dropping you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Now so they feel there's some kind of bad faith or bad blood going on between the two that we might never know about.
I was just listening to you. I was like, well, somebody's not operating in good faith there, right? I mean, I don't know. You can make all kinds of educated guesses about AT&T not caring about comics and DC just being beholden to their corporate masters and whatnot. But just from the level I'm at as like a well-informed enthusiast, it just seems like just a really bad move in terms of goodwill. I mean, I don't know. If I was a retailer, I would be tempted to not sell DC books. I really would. But, I'm one of those crazy people.
Right. Well, I've got another. We've talked about this so much, and it's almost impossible to know. There's so many layers of corporate structure on top of DC now.
Right.
And to mention
anybody's guess.
Yeah, and there were players involved at Jeppy Family Enterprises that were involved in that deal when it broke down that are no longer involved. So I feel like something we don't know about. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about something maybe you do know about, maybe you don't. I love this one. This is my favorite one, Larry.
Okay.
We want to take a look at ComicBlast. What's ComicBlast? All right, I got a trailer here from Adobe. This is a 4-minute thing. We might not watch the whole thing, but let's start it and see where we go from here. So you tell me if the audio's okay on this. I have another way to play it if not.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
I am Garima and I love reading comics. And can I let you in on a little secret? I have recently started designing one. But I think you will agree, that designing comic like a pro is no easy task. I have to write the script, plan the layout, draw the art, create speech bubbles, compose the lettering, and put them together, panel by panel.
Tough to argue with that. Like, you do have
Yeah.
to do those things to make a comic.
Yeah.
All right.
One by one, page by page by page. There has to be a better way of doing this. Presenting ComicBlast, a fun and easy way to create pro comic books. Let's have a look. Scripts for comics typically follow a structure, and ComicBlast powerful AI algorithms have been trained to analyze such scripts.
So right out of the bat, right out of the gate, comics follow a standard script format. Larry, did you get the memo on that?
No. There's no standard. She's probably confusing it with Hollywood in that, you have a script format to follow that people won't even read it if it's wrong.
That's right.
Like comic book scripts or whatever you can put down. Whatever puts the writer's ideas into the artist's head is the right structure. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Let's continue. Right out of the gate, we're a little bit off to a shaky start, but I will say there are some guides out there. And if you went by, you could use a somewhat like a screenplay format, page 1, panel 1, dialogue this, caption this. Okay, you could do it.
And identify components like panel, SFX text, dialogue, and speech bubbles. All I need to do
Speech bubbles.
Script and press this magic button. And voila, my entire comic book comes to life in a matter of seconds. Creating comic books just became 100 times faster. I can change the page layouts instantaneously while retaining all the components on the page. I can even adjust the space between two panels.
Handy.
Or create new panels on the fly. I can even merge two speech bubbles into one by a simple drag and drop. After all, it never feels complete without that personal touch. To add the art.
That's right. Your comic doesn't feel complete until you have actually provided an artistic choice to it, is what she's saying. I think that's right.
Speech bubbles. Like, really? Oh my God.
I simply import my hand-drawn sketch, which gets auto-traced instantaneously. I can even add the art using my favorite app, Fresco. ComicBlast not only changes the way you design.
That's the part I don't know. I don't know what Fresco does. I don't know if that was supposed to say it instantly colored it or she imported some Fresco file or something. But I think the sketch to the inking and panel layouts is interesting.
I think this whole thing is interesting, but it's soulless, which is the opposite of what comics are.
Comics, it also reimagines how you consume them. For instance, CAN-based image synthesis enables me to assign morphing capabilities to the face of any character.
This is neat.
So next time when reading a comic, I can add my own selfie to it. Ta-da! I can even...
Okay, I don't think that looks too much like her, to tell you the truth.
Well, it's I don't know.
Add a branching narrative storyline format. So, depending on which egg I choose, the story will progress accordingly. I bet I'm never going to get bored of reading the same comic ever again.
Because that's what we want. Because I want to watch Citizen Kane and I want to make a choice. Maybe he doesn't stay with the old. Maybe he stays with his parents, right? And he grows up and has a happy life and is a productive citizen.
Yeah.
I don't understand what this branching narrative thing. My only thing is maybe this is meant to pipeline into like a digital comics format. And I think the next features.
It looks like previs for TV shows and movies, right? That it looks like a transitory step between your idea and the finished product to me.
Well, this But this is a branch narrative, though. This is interesting, but I don't know how you consume a choose your own adventure comic outside of like Jason Shiga. Like, I don't think this is the way you're supposed to read the comic, but they don't really do that.
It looks like she said that you can do that for yourself as your I don't know. I'm trying to find out why you would. Yeah.
Oh, she's gonna bring it home right now, Larry. Oh, wait, it's gonna get sold right here. Here we go.
Not only this, ComicBlast enables you to add cool motion graphic and animation to your comic books. For instance, in this frame, I can add a simple animation and preview the effect. Wow. Let's add a complex animation of rotation.
Wow.
And preview.
Yes.
Yeah.
Preview.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I love my professional comics.
Here,
I love that.
Let's add depth effect.
Yeah.
Wow, it's an awesome parallax effect. ComicBlast, a fun and easy way to create pro comic books that are beautiful, personalized, interactive, animated, and did I mention 100 times faster? Well, it is.
Thank you, Adobe.
Yeah, you know what, that just looks to me like somebody has learned a language phonetically. Like they don't understand that comics is a language. Like her thing's like, oh, let's put speech bubbles in. Well, that's not how it works. Like lettering is an entire art form by itself. Like I've lettered over 2,000 pages of comic book lettering. And so I have, and that's like, on the side, that's just like part of getting stuff done. I don't know. I can't, it's hard to articulate the Adobe taking their graphic design knowledge and shellacking it onto something that it really doesn't need.
So the motion graphics part confuses me a lot, and the branching narratives part confuses me because
I mean,
it's like a digital comics. You could only do that in digital comics. How could you do that? Why? Nobody would think to do that in paper comics. So why would you waste all this time? And if you're providing your own artwork, why do you want to morph your face onto the artwork that you've drawn? Why don't you draw your face into the drawing?
Yeah, there's a lot of, like I said, it's somebody who looked at comics and went, here's what I want to do on it, not understanding that there's already people have solved those problems for you for 200 years already.
I gotta say, my favorite part had to be, it's like an infomercial. It's like, oh, you've got your paper and your pens and there's ink everywhere. Why does it have to be this hard?
I try not to judge folks on that because I'm not the most comfortable guy in front of the camera myself. But like, it's true. It's like, well, if you've got the paper and pen, why don't you just do a comic? You don't need because that's all it is lines on paper, right?
Oh, so, Larry, you're queuing us up, pal, because now it's time to look at some lines on paper because people have been mailing me stuff, right? People have been sending me PDFs too, but frankly, I don't even they're lucky if I'll even click on it, let alone sit and read an entire comic.
I think we touched on that last time, right? It's like, if you're in front of a computer all day, the last thing you want to do is read a comic on a computer. Like for my birthday, you sent me a pulp. And I was a friggin' joy to sit in my chair and have a seltzer and sit and smell a comic. It was great. So, yes, send Dan your comics.
We'll talk about that at the end. But first, let's go take a look at what we've got. And where else, everybody, but in the $1 Million Comics Cam. So wait a minute. How do we do this? Let me go. This is my first time really trying to do this. I want to do it right. Let me go solo layout. And let's go straight into the $1 Million Comics Cam. Holy moly, $1 Million Comics Cam. Are you kidding me? I love it. Oh, let's shrink it down and take a look. Oh, speaking of pulp, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. I think this is the original graphic novel of the year, folks. And this is in a year when there's an OGN by Joe Sacco out. If you haven't read that, you'll want to. So now let me bring in Larry, and we'll talk. When we'll talk comics. Let's see. Here we go. Great. Okay, Larry. Maybe I can do it this way. I think this is the way we want to do it. Boom. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Okay. You hearing me okay, Larry? I
got you.
Okay,
You're
great.
Good. I'm just
cool. Right,
stunned with the production values here. It's like some kind of $1 million comic.
Dude, you know the kind of time and money that we are spending here
it's astronomical.
It's crazy. We'll talk about pulp very soon. I'll put that over here. But for now, let's start with Spiderweb Nightmare by Mr. B.D. Kepley. Okay. This is not a comic so much as it is, I don't know, a graphic experiment. It collects 3 mini comics by B.D. Kepley, spun together into a surreal and terrifying nightmare web of ghastly horrors. Ghastly. Over an obliterated panorama of bizarre evil at the hands of the freakish demon slug. Okay. So let's say that's a lot to live up to. So let's take a look. I like the binding. It's square bound. This is the type of this feels like a high quality professional graphic novel of, say, maybe 10 years ago or whatever, like as good as state of the art was and even is today. Like this feels like something you would pay if you were into it, like you would expect to pay maybe, I don't know, at least $15 maybe more. It's only black and white on the inside. What do you know? A note. Let's see if we can read this. Can we read this? Or out of focus here. Dear Dan, I love your channel. There's so many great interviews. Peter Bagg is a hero of mine, and I found your channel by way of searching for him. I hope you dig this book. It's a weird one for sure, but it was a lot of fun experimenting with the KDP platform, which I have come to understand plenty of publishers have been using of late. Do you know what that is?
I don't. KDB platform. Huh.
I have no idea.
Is that might be a print on demand thing? I don't know.
It must be. Be.
Because that does look sharp. You just flipping it around looks like it's a book. So nice job.
It's well bound. There's no price. There's no IBN. Oh no, there is an ISBN. Excuse me. I take it back. I think that's probably the platform helps them provide that. I think their print on demand platform. Yeah.
What's the last 4 numbers on the ISBN?
Well, there's this supplemental code or these ones.
The one on the right should start with a 5.
It says 90,000 on there.
Oh, okay. Because in when we were doing it, it was a 5-digit number and it started with a 5, and the 5 indicated a $sign, and then the next 4 were the price.
Oh, I see.
So it was a little trick if people didn't put the price on it. It was always in the ISBN code.
Oh, I get it. I think some of those digits you can put extra info in and do stuff like that.
Yeah. I bet that's what it is. The KDB thing is probably a thing to get it a sales platform as well.
Okay, so this guy's read. I think this guy's into Charles Burns maybe a little bit. It has that feel. It has that feel to it. I don't mean that in a bad way.
No. That's a good thing. Honestly, cool. I love weirdo things like that. We published Necessary Monsters by Daniel Goodbury, and that was a very similar thing, not in terms of style, but a mini comic that was just hard to explain to people. It's like, well, if you like weird stuff, here you go. And
well, this is about how does slug translate into the squalid egg sack? How does the accused singer proposition a pig?
Yeah.
It's more like poetry almost in a sense, but there is a sort of narrative of the demon slug. I'll be honest, it's not. I don't think it's following a 3-act structure, Larry. But that's okay. It's pretty fun to look. And I don't know, what's your take overall? What are you thinking about?
Like I said, I love stuff like that. It's professionally presented. His art is cool. I kind of having one page of art and one page of a caption is pretty bold, but when it's weird, it kind of oh, there you go. That's different. Yeah, no,
it's not all. Yeah, it's not all.
Like a couple pages you flipped, it was like that stuff. It's no, I love this. It's just I love weirdo stuff like that because if you pick up the latest issue of Green Lantern, at some point you know what you're getting, right? If you pick that up, I just was just a giant fan of mini comics, so you can tell that's how that stuff was originally presented.
Absolutely, yeah. This is a collection of his 3 mini comics.
Not just mini comics, but zines as too. You know that I love Dishwasher. Do you know that?
I don't know that one.
There's a guy who just was sick of life, and he's like, I'm going to just go be a dishwasher. And he did a zine. He's like, I'm going to get a dishwasher job in every state and just write what happens. And it actually ended up being collected as a book because it was just great.
Wow.
But so yeah, stuff like that.
I'm a big zine and mini comics fan. This is the kind of thing I would go to the APE Alternative Press Expo.
Right, exactly.
Pick this stuff up. And if I saw this on somebody's table, I would be pretty impressed by their ability to at least put together a really nice collection. This is not a hand-stapled thing. They took their hand-stapled mini comics and turned it into a perennial, Larry, right?
Yeah.
They could throw this thing for days and days and days.
And plus, something at a show like Ape, I would drop $15 on that instantly. I'd probably give him a 20, and then he'd try to give me 2 copies for a friend, or like give me stickers and posters and stuff. Because that guy knows what he's doing. You can tell.
Okay,
nice job.
All right.
I actually want to read that. I'll click. Well, do you have a link that the audience members can click the link? And
matter of fact, I do. Just click where? down there, down at the bottom, the description, and there will be a link to Spiderweb Nightmare. You can buy it in several places, including Amazon. Just look up Spiderweb Nightmare on Amazon. You're going to get it. This guy knows how to get his books to the people, and he was smart enough to mail one here, and he just got serious screen time for it. All right. Next. Ooh, Spurious Sentience by the Cephid Recording Club. I could back this out a little bit to see the whole thing, but I'm not. I kind of like this. This is enough, I think, to show us what's going on here. And now this one, okay, from Dan from Spurious Sentience, Cephid Recording Club. They sent me this postcard in there. It said, Dan, this is our first attempt at illustrative storytelling, or illustrative storytelling. Hope you like it. Chris McAfee. If anyone is interested, order here, cephidrecordingclub.com. That's also in the links. All right, so this is a square bound. I don't know. You call this perfect bound, square bound. I don't know what you call it, I guess. Number 1, we've got Would You Kill the Devil, and a lot of text on the back. This text basically outlines the entire thing, not only of everything that's going to happen in this book you're about to read, but like that this is part 1 of a grander, larger vision. Okay. Allison Bain, a mercenary for some demons, the devil in chase. While evading Allison, the devil leaps into the street to be struck down by a car. This throws Allison in shock as she sees her brother exit the vehicle and put the devil in his arms. Jimmy is unaware the man he just killed was the devil or that Allison was involved. That's just the first paragraph, and that literally describes like the first half of the book. Okay. But wait, there's more. So we open this guy up. Nice looking. Color cover on the inside of the cover. This page is decent. I like the graphics are okay. I love this. The story, characters, and settings are property of C.L. McAfee and Cephid Recording Club. This team worked hard pulling this book together, so don't steal it. I like that a lot. Okay. And now this is where I opened it up, and I was really surprised by how much I like this art. It looks like it's all in pencil, to the point where it's a little hard to tell here, but you can even see like the texture of the paper where like the pencil was rubbed. It's a little hard to see right now in this. just looking at it from like the outside, I think like just it's attractive. Like the guy can draw very interesting angles and panel layouts. I really, really, really like the art. Like just looking at it, I would go like, yeah, I want to know more.
Yeah, I love that art. That's really, it's spooky and evocative for that kind of story. You can tell what kind of story you're looking at.
Well, that's the story. Well, the story is where I start running into a little more trouble. Let's just say the that block of text that we saw in the beginning. Well, that's just the beginning of our text blocks, Larry. We've got some text blocks we got to deal with. So you get in here and we're sort of thrown right into the show. These are sort of demon people, animals that are hiring our heroine to kill the devil. And if you kill the devil, you then become the devil.
As you do.
Okay.
I can't get by that lettering though, man. That's not good.
I've seen worse, but yeah, I have problems with it. I wanted to especially note the telltale. Okay, Larry, what's the telltale sign of amateur comic book lettering that we see?
Yeah, it's the personal pronoun I in the middle of words.
Bingo.
Yeah,
Larry
that's just
right.
That just I could see that even out of focus. I was like, oh, you got the crossbars, man. That's just.
Let me see if I can do this. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can do this.
That's not good.
I can focus this thing, I think. But
honestly I can't. It's in my life. I'm a huge Star Trek fan, so there's two things that I will talk about for hours, and one is the insignia on the Star Trek uniforms, and two, lettering and the personal pronoun I's with the crossbars in the middle of words. It's the most rookie mistake ever. It's awful.
I can do
and the font selection, those are like free fonts that you can just get anywhere. You might as well have done. I know. I have a quick story about Bat and Lash if you want to hear.
Sure.
I was a giant fan of Bat, and he did this book, Wolf and Bird, the Counselors of the Macabre.
Yeah, rest in peace, Bat and Lash.
Yeah. That's why I kind of feel bad telling this story, but it reflects poorly on me and not Bat. But I have this thing about lettering, and it has to be professional. And right when comic book lettering was working over to the desktop publishing, this guy did a font called Whiz Bang. And it was just like the one everyone used because it wasn't Comic Sans. Like, I don't know what that is, but it's some kind of thing that you can just get anywhere. Jimmy worked hard, but resources were limited.
So this is a complete.
Anyway, I gave Bat a hard time about using Whiz Bang, and he didn't take it well. So sometimes people just don't like it when you talk about their lettering because they feel like they did the best they could. That's not what they're getting out of comics. They want to write and draw, and lettering's an afterthought, and that's kind of what's going on there. You don't have a page of text like that with just all caps. It's impossible to read.
It's very difficult to read, and to overlook the lettering. It's the thing that immediately, even if you don't know the thing about, not putting the serif, not putting the handle on the I when it's in the middle of the word. Just looking at it, something is wrong to the casual looker who just like the lettering just doesn't seem like a professional comic book lettering, even if you understand that point or not particularly. But I definitely don't want to go too hard against it because I really liked this book in general. And let's see if I can focus here at a wider angle. I like it. I like the art. I think the artist has a real future in comics because they're combining this like photo illustrative penciling look with really fun, interesting panel layouts, man. Like this is like pretty cool stuff. This is not typical comics panel layouts at all. There's no panel borders in a lot of them. but it's not done in like a rip-off way. I really like it. Okay, but then you get into a page like this, and it's like you are ruining beautiful artwork with this lettering. Not ruining, you're besmirching.
I just want to grab their letter and go 25 words a balloon, 100 words a page. Don't step on the art.
and now this thing goes into some weird directions, Larry. Serial killers, chain the prime number killer, also known as PNK, who likes to chain up ladies and cut them while talking about numbers. So it's disturbing, and it ends on a very disturbing note.
Yikes.
Yeah, this guy is he's a freak, but it gives you that sense of horror that I know that they're looking for out of this thing. So, I think mission accomplished in that way. And I think that the artwork itself is really lovely. I think the writing could use a little bit of work, and the lettering is not good.
I could have predicted that, because that logo up top is just you want people to be able to read what your comic is called. Yes. I love that art, though. The art's great.
I agree, although I have a similar problem I had on our last show with the cover not being representative of this beautiful of the artwork on the inside.
I kind of actually like the cover better.
You do?
Yeah. See that cool thing, the effect he did with the hair, and I'd read a whole book like that. Okay,
fair enough, Larry.
You know me. I mean, the inside's great. Don't get me wrong. I actually like the art inside, but I don't know. You got a battle between words and pictures in a comic, and that's what makes comics instead of a novel or paintings, right? You have the words and pictures have to meld, or it's just the whole thing doesn't work.
Okay, well, here's a guy who I think gets that, Larry. Let's talk.
All right, there you go.
Let's talk about Ultra. But this is not just Ultra. This is not just one book. This is two books in one. It's a flip book.
Flip book. Love it.
Jungle Lords on the back. And not only that, so Jungle Lords, well, I'll talk about it in a second, but there's also sort of there's an all-nude version of Jungle Lords available to the Kickstarter backers. I've got some trading cards here as well that the artist Andy Smith, artist and writer, who apparently worked for Marvel and DC and some other places, sent some promo materials along as well. A really cool bookmark. Looks nice. Got his characters on it. This is apparently sort of a relaunch of a character he had used before, Ultra. And when I looked at this is Ultra, and then this is Jungle Lords. And when he sent me the art for Jungle Lords, he sent me the PDF of the nude version, okay, which I can't really show. It's not pornographic in the sense that there's no sexual intercourse, but it is just swinging dicks everywhere.
Well, it's the jungle. Nobody's wearing clothes in the jungle. Why would you?
But okay, let's take a look at Jungle Lords. So
there's an audience for that stuff. So I kind of don't blame the guy.
Well, when I looked at it, I said, this looks like the love child of Bart Sears and Bud Root. Okay, Cave Woman and Bart Sears, the famous guy, right? And he goes, "Oh, Bart Sears is my neighbor and Bud Root's my good pal. We hang out all the time together."
Well, there you go.
So the idea of sorry, go ahead, Larry.
No, I was just gonna say it's probably nothing to do two versions of that book, right? Because you're just throwing little triangles on boobs, right?
And that's what he did.
Yeah, so there you go. You get two audiences.
And so this is, your Frank Cho fans are gonna like this kind of thing for sure. The story's pretty simple. Like this old couple sort of got trapped in this land before time. They went through a time warp, and then when they came out, they were not just in this land before time, but they had these amazing, crazy bodies. and they were young again and had super senses, and they're just sort of trapped and trying to figure out what's going on, and having fun doing it.
Yeah, there you go.
A lot of bed.
That kind of reminds me of Den, right? Richard Corbin's Den, where
Totally
you got the rockin' bods.
Yeah, to me, this is a lot of Cave Woman. This is Budroot Cave Woman for sure. But classic stuff. We haven't had a good like fun jungle girl comic, not a new one since a long time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Behind the scenes material package. This is a very nice packaged comic. Okay, this was kickstarted successfully. It's kickstarted for a few $1,000 and it made I think $11,000, and it's got a $9.99 cover price on it. It's a standard saddle stitched or stapled comic format, but it's hefty and it's a flip book and there's a lot of artwork in it. Nice pin up in the middle. And then on the other side, we have our book Ultra. And this is his superhero book. And this is almost a parody, almost like The Tick, almost. Like it's not to be taken seriously at all. This was a guy who worked at Walmart who gained his powers when lightning struck his PlayStation, right? And suddenly he uses his superpowers to have sex with hot super chicks.
Well, as you do.
Right. Yeah. Who's not going to do that? Right. We've got Marvelocity, and I really liked her name. What was her name? Protanya. Protanya. Pretty cool. Solid looking superhero-y stuff. More than solid. Like it's professional grade comics to me. Hard to knock. The story and the jokes, a little sophomore-ish, a little bawdy, but not dirty. But that's the audience. That's what they're going for, and I think he succeeded in that way.
Protanya looks like a comic. That's great.
And a lot of nice little backup material in here. The behind the scenes stuff, a little like Hostess fruit pies pastiche with his character. That's pretty well done, but it's for an energy drink instead. But we recognize where that's coming from, and some other stuff. Got a real.
I like the trade dress is all the Marvel stuff from the 70s, and you got that's great. Tom Spurgeon, Tom Spurgeon. He had this great line that like this is exactly the kind of thing for people who like that kind of thing.
Bingo. That is it. That is it.
I love that line because it kind of sounds like you're taking a shot, but you're really not. You're just saying, yes. There you go. Does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, there's a reason they make whatever pistachio ice cream, right? Not everybody likes it, but those that do love the heck out of it. I do.
That's how I feel about Necco wafers.
Okay.
This time of year, Necco wafers and candy corn, everybody starts talking shit, and I get so angry about that. It's like I love that candy. I don't have a sweet tooth, but that's my candy.
Those are disgusting. Like,
I know. Okay. I know everybody thinks that. I've made my peace with it.
Man, have I got a sweet tooth for pinball machines, Larry? And
how have we never talked about that before? Me too.
Oh, great. Okay, so you will love Coin Op Carnival. Okay.
Wait. What's your favorite table of all time?
My favorite table has got to be Pinbot 2 Bride of the Machine.
Pinbot,
I owned it, and so I had to fix it, and I got in the guts of it.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. What about you?
8-Ball Deluxe.
I was gonna guess you're an 8-Ball Deluxe guy. That's such the classic Larry vintage pinball machine. It has to be that.
I love Embryon, Theater of Magic. There was one Jungle Lord, the first Black Knight with the magnetic
Black Knight. Yeah, okay.
I hear that sometimes in my. Would you like to play the Black Knight again? I hear that in my voice. In my brain all the time.
You ever play Bonsai Run?
No, I never heard of that one.
Okay, that's a crazy one where
Is
all
that a race game like cars?
Yeah, it's motorcycle racing.
Yes.
Off-road, but the ball goes up into the back glass.
Right. Yes.
The ball is up there where the score is and stuff. And it's an amazing game. Okay.
Anyway, let's talk about this.
Coin Op
I'm already excited.
This is by Ryan Claytor and Nick Baldrige. And it turns out I've got a Ryan Claytor connection. Okay. He watched my show. He might be watching right now. I wouldn't be surprised. And I
love your cover, Ryan. That's great.
Well, he designed this bookmark for me back when I had an online bookstore called The Comic Bookshelf. And I wanted it to portray the sort of automated setup that I had going on for the comicbookshelf.com. It didn't work out. Comicbookshelf.com. I was supposed to do that with the late, great Rory Root before he passed away. And then sort of all the plans, it never worked out the way I wanted. And I got a few bookmarks left, Larry. So
got a few, yeah. Man, good old Rory. There's a guy I miss.
Oh, he's the greatest.
Man, that guy. Yeah.
Well,
we'll do a whole show on him.
Send me a self-addressed stamped envelope to the address I showed before, and I'll send you one of these. But I'm going to send the rest to Ryan, and he's going to give them out as part of his Kickstarter that he's got going on. Let's talk about Coin Op Carnival, Elephant Eater Comics. That's Ryan. He was so professional. Of all, you know how hard it is to work with artists and comic artists and stuff. Like, it's like for something like a bookmark or something like professional, like that's not a graphic designer, right? But this guy is like graphic designer at his heart and is great at it. Elephant Eater Comics. He makes these killer stickers. He's got a great business card. It's really nice. And then he also designs neon signs. And you can't tell, this is like a lenticular business card for his neon sign shop. Okay. Amazing custom neon signs because he's got pinball arcades himself. All right. What is Coin Op Carnival? Well, it is a comic and not just a comic. It's more like a pinball or electromechanical rather fanzine. I don't know what you want to call it, but this sort of the origin story of how these guys started talking about it. They both really love pinball, old-fashioned mechanical, electromechanical pinball. Get rid of me here. And so they talked about it and decided, hey, let's do a comic. They did some research. They did interviews with the world's most prolific pinball designer, Wayne Nyans. There's a great interview, meticulously illustrated, just like lovingly documenting Wayne's rise to power in the pinball design world. Like, who's telling this story, Larry? Nobody else is telling this story.
No, this is amazing. I love this.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff, and it's like a great comic. And then we get into this stuff where interviews with just beautiful, well thought out, laid out, and designed. Can you tell I like this, man?
Oh, rightly so. This is amazing.
Full color, just beautifully designed. It's got page numbers, which I love. Historical interest, and then we start getting into okay. And if that wasn't good enough, I'm like, okay, this guy's into pinball. He's talking about pinball history. Wow, that's great. This couldn't be any better. This could not be more up Danny Shahin's alley. Until he's getting into old electromechanical games. Like, yeah, this is great. This is awesome. And then we hit, dude, the technical electromechanical tech explained, Larry.
Wow, that's cool.
So these early pinball games were designed. These are the ones. Electromechanical means there is no digital computer at all involved in these pinball machines. They're entirely electromechanical relays. It's just electricity and switches and stuff and mechanical movements driving the logic of these games. This explains how a bank of trip relays work, like the true internal workings of some of the most fun and beautiful machines ever made. Like, I think of pinball machines as the original interactive art, one of the first interactive art things, because you have to put in time and effort and spilled skill and spend money to unlock additional artifacts out of the pip, to get the bonus score, to get Pinbot to light up.
That's why I will always play pinball over. I don't play video games really at all. I'll play like something with my kid, but left to my own devices, I don't care about video games at all. When you can go to a bar and have a pint and hear that pop when you hit the replay, come on. It's all your skill.
Yeah. The fact that bumping the machine affects your score and play, like that's everything. That tells you everything. Like
you're interacting with the game.
Yeah. Well, and then because Ryan's like, okay, Dan has already like wet himself. So why don't I include a paper craft cut out pinball machine of a classic pinball machine? Okay.
That's great.
Amazing. Look at the work put in on these logos. Just the logos.
No, this is amazing.
The beauty, Ryan. Mwah. Fantastic. Here's his tour for the 2019 release tour, right? They toured pinball arcades around the country. You can't quite see all this, right? 16 stops in 10 states, including, of course, if you've never been there, you got to go in Las Vegas to the Pinball Hall of Fame. If you haven't been there, you've got to check it out. It's fantastic. It's just an acre of pinball machines that just take quarters, no entry fee. You just go in, you put quarters in, and they have everything. People from all over the country donate their pinball machines to the Pinball Hall of Fame.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Hey, you've been to the one in Alameda, haven't you? The Museum of the Pacific.
Believe it or not, I've never made it out to that one.
That was the last thing that Walker and I did before the shutdown for the Rona. We were like, we got to get this in. So we drove over to Alameda and played for like 6 hours.
So Coin Op Carnival reminded me of something. And I was like, I'd never seen anything else that really reminded me of it. I don't know too many people who even know about this. Like, you ever see PS Magazine?
Yeah. That's the Will Eisner stuff.
Yeah.
That he did for the Army. Yeah. I used to have a few of those.
I found them recently in a bookstore here, Eureka Books. They had them for like $1 or something each. And then there was a collected copy that a graphic novel that I bought too that collected these in hardcover.
Oh, no kidding. That's cool.
I should grab that. But it's this combination of comics and technical drawing and explaining things, complicated things using comics that just turns me on, dude. Big time. Yeah,
it was basically a comic book instruction manual for soldiers for some of the tougher stuff that just made it go down easier,
Yeah, like look at this stuff. This is like, is your regulator, is your starter motor in shape? Like, here's a thing. And then some nice comics, like look at this beautiful Will Eisner comics. So these are by a master of comics, not just some dude they hired off the street, right? This is amazing, beautiful. Gorgeous.
I agree.
Rarely seen stuff. All right.
Guys like you and me know about that, though. I remember Maggie Thompson from the Comic Book Buyer's Guide was really into those, 30 years ago. Yeah.
Well, and so the other thing that this reminded me of, both in paper stock and sort of in its blending of comics, not fiction and nonfiction. I don't know if you've read Craig Thompson's Ginseng Roots or heard of this, Larry.
No.
So I
know Craig, of course, but I don't know this project.
Okay, he did Blankets, right, and Habibi.
Right.
And he took, for both of those are like thick, giant Bibles. He went, for both of those, he took like 5 or 10 years or something. He go ahead and sat in a hole, and he produced this thing, and he put it out.
You make comics so glamorous. Yeah, he sat in a hole. Worked for 5 years.
No feedback. It's not like in that time somebody doing a series, right? He's putting out issues and getting feedback.
Right. No,
so he decided, he goes, graphic novels, even though he was the king of graphic novels, right? He decided graphic novels are great, but I'm going to put out a bi-monthly comic, and I'm going to produce the whole thing every 2 months. And it talks about his youth growing up in Wisconsin, where it's the capital of ginseng farming in the world. Actually, some of the best ginseng in the world comes from Wisconsin. And he talks about how he grew up reading comics and his brother, and then the history of the ginseng root and the ginseng trade, both in overseas and in this country, the different commercial grades of ginseng. It's just a book unlike anything I've ever read. And speaking of red, it's black and white and red and beautiful.
Yeah, that's great.
He's an amazing Craig. This is Craig Thompson's most beautiful looking stuff I've ever seen, and I've read all of his stuff. I think Goodbye Chunky Rice. He is hitting it at a new level here, and putting out amazing comics. This stuff will be collected eventually, but it's not going to have the letters pages. It's not going to have might not have the backup stories by his brother, who is
cool. Yeah,
it's really nice.
That's coming out now.
This comes out every other month. You can get this through Diamond now. Originally, it wasn't. You could get it direct from who is it? Uncivilized Comics. Uncivilized. I didn't put a link to this one because I didn't even realize I was going to talk this much about it, but it just reminded me so much the feel of these things and the size.
Sure.
Both of these are smaller than a standard size comic. I got here. It's Ultra as a standard size comic, so we can kind of see the difference.
You can tell they went for that matte finish on the cover too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Not only looks good, feels good in the hand, it looks like awesome on the $1 Million Comics cam. No shine. Okay.
Yeah, that's the stuff. You know, that kind of reminds me, what was that manga series that they did that did the history of Cup Noodle? That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, I think I did. It was like the business story.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like how they developed it, and it was fascinating. So I have to know about commercial ginseng farming now. So good job, Craig. I kind of, you know what? When I do these shows with you, I end up spending like $100 on comics. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounded cool. Let me check that out.
True, Larry, but because you participated and were so fun, man. You got one for free. I sent
thank you. No, I love that. But come on, Brubaker and Phillips, like, come on, you're not going to go wrong with that, right?
Well, not only can you not go wrong, folks, I just want to say that I think that this book, if you haven't read it, you want to go out and read it immediately. I think this is the best original graphic. It's definitely the best OGN I've read all year. And this is in a year that has a brand new book by Joe Sacco that is incredible. If you haven't read Paying the Land, I'm going to bring it in here and put it on $1 Million Comics Camp probably next time. I hope we're going to do more $1 Million Comic Camp. I hope Larry will become a regular and help us do this more often.
Oh, man, whenever you need me, this is great.
Okay, so let's just briefly, I'm just going to look through this. I mean, everybody knows Brubaker and Phillips. It's almost like, yawn, sure, world-class comics, Dan.
Right, another Eisner for Brube and Phillips.
But do talk about the story a little bit, Larry.
Well, the thing I really enjoyed about it is that I love stories where the main character has a foot in two worlds. So usually it's like, you know, in comics, it's usually like Batman or Superman, right? Where they have a secret identity, and so they have a foot in the regular world, but a foot in the superhero world. But the thing I liked about this is that he had a foot in both worlds of time, basically. Where Brube told the narrative of a gangster sort of, you know, Old West bank robber, and then when he was a young man, and then what happens to him as an old man during the Depression. So there was a span of 30 or 40 years there where I really enjoyed, because, you know, 40 years ago was 1980, right? Yeah. For us. But 40 years from the Depression was the Lone Ranger. So there's like such a huge leap of history and technology. Guys, you know, on horseback and railroads. And then, you know, 1929, 1930, you're gangsters and cities. And I don't know. It was just a really interesting conceit that I enjoyed. And then, you know, the story is warm and human. And, you know, I love, it's,
you know, caper story.
I just love the whole pulp aspect. I mean, it's perfectly named, right? That the guy's a pulp writer and you tell the story in a pulp fashion. It's kind of, I mean, I don't know. I'm not really doing a good service because I'm sort of saying, oh, well, that's kind of antiseptic, checking the dots narrative wise. But you really just some of the stuff that's just throwaway, like the girl who gets beat up by her husband in the tenement. It's like a throwaway thing, but you're like, I spent like a minute going, just poring over that page with Philip's work, and I don't know. It's great. I loved it.
I thought it was brilliant. I thought, not does it span two eras, right? So this guy was a cowboy, right, in the cowboy days, and then it came into the 40s. He's an old man now, and now he writes pulp fiction about the cowboy days, kind of roughly about his own adventures that happened. So there, you like you said, you got the old West stuff, and then you got the 40s stuff, but then on top of it, the thing that kills me about it, the thing that makes it so fantastic is that it is today, right? It's parallels to what is happening today, from the Nazi right-wing stuff that's going on in New York City subplot, all the way to the twist kind of ending at the very, very ending. And I'm not going to give it away.
I was going to say, don't ruin it.
No way am I going to give it away.
I'm not a spoiler guy, but that's, yeah.
No way, because it's so, like, you read it, you go, oh my God, it's then, but it's now. It is one of the best books I've ever read.
Just as a dude who's 57 years old, I just sort of like, this book really spoke to me. Dude, that's something I wouldn't have gotten when I was 20 or so. I would have been like, what's this nonsense? But now it's like, I mean, look at that panel that you have open in the lower left, where the guy's just the body language that Sean does with the people looking at, that's just killer. And it's just, it's easy to take that stuff for granted because those guys are such pros. But I'm like, that's just some good work.
Well, if you know research, how much they research, and to have to research the two eras and get the two, like a period piece is hard enough to set design and get all the pieces, everything right.
Yeah.
They get it perfect for the 40s and they get it perfect for whatever the 1890s or 80s or what. Perfect. Picture perfect. Oh man. Okay. Go out and read Pulp, everybody, if you haven't read it already. Get it, read it. Let's talk about it. This is an Eisner Award winner for sure.
I will love Broob forever because he wrote the intro to my script collection for Astronauts in Trouble, and gave me a huge leg up when I was just a guy trying to break in. Okay, my kid loves Winter Soldier, and I personally think that's the best of all the Marvel movies, but the Brubaker is in it. So every time that scene that comes on where he's a lab guy when Bucky's getting his arm, and the first 100 times we saw it, I'd be like, hey, there's my friend Brubaker. And now my kid goes, hey, there's your friend. Like it's nothing.
The Broob and Epting run on Captain America is there, shoulder to shoulder. And maybe even, I hate to say this, it is kind of stands above even some of the greatest runs of Captain America that, like previously, I love the John Byrne. I'll always love the John Byrne Captain America run.
Sure.
But he wasn't a hard hitter like he was, in the Captain America, in the Brubaker stuff. He just took it where it needed to go. It was amazing.
Yeah. Good job. Nice work.
All right. We're gonna go to the comments now. We got a few comments. We got 12 people watching now.
Hey.
Let's see what we got going on here. I'm going to switch back over to the main studio.
I don't see. I can't see any of the comments, but if Randall Armstrong is watching,
let me turn them on for you, Larry. Sorry.
I'm like,
here we go. Wait a minute.
Nice job, Randall. You keep selling those comics. There's a guy you should talk to about Diamond. He's got, oh my God, once a week he's got the whole Diamond shipment thing. He'll get this giant 2 foot by 3 foot box that has one comic in it. And it's just like, why am I paying, $100 for shipping for this one comic? And it's just, I don't know. It's kind of funny for me to read because I know he's pulling his hair out every week. And so I don't know.
So you want him on here to be frustrated for the rest of us so we can be as amused as you? I like that.
He's just got something to say about distribution. That's all I'm saying. He's a guy that's in it right now.
Okay, people complaining about stuff. Okay, that looks like hot garbage. He's talking about one of the comics we saw. I'm not going to tell which one because I can't really tell. I'm going back in time. Talking about Adobe. No more artists. Yay. Guys, by the way, guys, we're watching comic stuff. If you got any questions, bring them on now for Larry or me, whatever. We'll be out of here pretty soon.
Yeah, that ComicBlast thing, that's just nonsense. I mean, God bless them, but I think they're trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist, right? It's like if you want to do comics, it's not a secret how to do comics.
I think they have solved but they have made a tool that could be useful for a lot of things. Like for people, there are comics writers that do write in full script format that way, and they like even sometimes provide thumbnails, right? So this is a tool that a comics artist maybe who doesn't have the time, patience, skills, materials to do that could use this as a thumbnail layout tool to just provide these to an artist who then draws it sort of based on those layouts.
Well, I mean that works. I don't know.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Wait, well, that's what I said. It looked like previs, right, for special effects in movies. It's like, yeah, I get the idea, but it's not professionally done yet. That they're word balloons, man. It's just.
Oh yeah, that lettering done by an Adobe product. This was talking about some of the lettering. One of our. Let's see. Are you getting to Jungle Lords Ultra? We back the adult version. Also, our debut issue is now in Yule and Jeff's store. We did get to Jungle Lords. I have the naked swinging ding dong version on PDF.
That's how they should market it. The swinging dicks version. Dan, yeah, exactly. I mentioned that the Richard Corbin stuff.
I thought it's very Dennis. Yeah, it's Denny. I didn't make that connection, but I think that's right. Eric Peterson says yes to Necco wafers.
Thank God. He obviously knows what time it is.
And long live Pinbot. Sucking up to the guests, sucking up to the panel. Love Neckos.
Yes, finally. My people.
You used to chat
Rory was good.
And he was great. Warren Ellis.
I miss Rory. He was very helpful when I started publishing comics. He always had time for me. He'd answer everything I asked him. He was a good guy. Comics, the world is worse that guy died.
Absolutely. And guys, if you don't know who we're talking about, you should check out my Rory Root Memorial panel with a bunch of people that knew the guy. And we talk about his legacy and everything he's done. He's a really fantastic guy and a good friend of mine as well. Every
time I see chai tea, I think of Rory. He always had that mug of chai.
Panama hats. And
yeah.
Such an arm, like carpal tunnel.
We always used to call him the comic book RoboCop because he always had those things on his arms.
Okay, there's a huge warehouse of pinball machines in Pittsburgh, Papa, where tournaments are held. We have a lot of pinball fans who'd love that zine. I'll bet you. I wonder if that was one of the stops, Ryan. If it's not one of the stops, put that on your next tour stop.
Did you say you put that? I don't know. I'm gonna watch this whole thing again, but did you put that link to that? Definitely getting that co-op thing.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's in there.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, by the way, Ryan, here's what a pro Ryan is. I don't want to talk too much about how great this guy is, but check out this website, dude. So I'm on his CoinOp Carnival site. It's a fully responsive. It looks great on your on a phone or on a website or on a web browser rather. It's got where you can order it. It's got where you can contact the guy. It's super clean, it's just a great promotional website. That's well done. Awesome. The book and matches the book in color and Ryan is a pro. Love that guy.
Yep. Okay. That's a short conversation because he's obviously knows what he's doing. We were kind of talking before off camera about the packaging and marketing stuff. I was telling my kid about that. When I started doing Astronauts in Trouble, I had baseball caps and I made a mixtape that I sent CDs to people along with a finished book. I'm like, here you go. And that just, Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you receive that in the mail, it's like you can't help. Even if it's not for you, you know 5 guys you can sell that to. You know, so at the independent level, if you know, it's harder to get somebody to sell your book. Like if you got somebody in there, you can get somebody will sell. They order 5 and they'll order another 5 later, right? But it's getting that first sale that's a big deal. So if you drop it on somebody that like, here's a $20 hat, and this guy made a mixtape, and there's like a T-shirt and stickers, and you know, he's made something with my company name on it. You know, the guy's doing all that swag stuff is where it's at, because just doing a comic, you know, anybody with gumption can do a comic, but it's getting it out to the people, the marketing and promotions where the rubber meets the road.
And it's become so much easier to do that. It's the really high quality hats, shirts, mugs, and comics. People are doing it themselves. Publishers are becoming irrelevant. I hate to say it. Oh, Dan, do you ever cry in the dark before? I'm not. Is this a reference I'm not understanding, or was I crying? I don't get it.
Did you? I didn't remember you mentioning something like that.
One time I was going to the Riverside
Drive
outside of Pittsburgh. I stopped at an arcade where they had a Hercules table. And likes and dislikes are turned off. No, you can still like and dislike. Guys, there's been, ever since a few weeks ago, I don't know what happened a few weeks ago. I did something about a show I did a few weeks ago, caused a lot of people that don't even like. I end up seeing videos. I put them that I'm going to have a video in a week, and it has a bunch of thumbs downs on it already. Like, I get it. So, okay, that's fine. You can put a thumbs down or a thumbs up. I appreciate the comments and the feedback and everything else. Put it in there. Do what you want to do, guys. And I appreciate all you likers and subscribers and all you people. Peterson Drive. Okay, it's still there. She's talking about the pinball place. Probably doing well due to COVID taking out indoor theaters. It's away and all the. Oh, they're talking about Riverside Drive-In in Pittsburgh, my hometown, by the way.
No, really?
Well, until I was 1.
Oh, okay. I got some friends who live in Castle Shannon.
Okay, this is all stuff. Who is Larry?
Steve Euchred. Who is Steve Euchred? That's what I want to know.
Better question.
I love Steve. He.
You know him.
Oh yeah. You know our the YouTube thing that I do with my kid, Dork Court. Steve and my friend Mark Espinoza are the only people who have taken it over, and they did their own versions. Okay. Steve's a good guy. I don't know if I can talk about him. He's an assassin for the Mossad. So
all right. That hot garbage comment was in reference to the Adobe.
Okay. Well, that makes sense then.
that I can get behind.
Right. We agree.
But just what a miss as far as marketing and understand. Like, to say that's for professional comics production. If they wanted to say it was for amateurs or for script writers, somebody wants to dabble, then I'd be like, great, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Not a professional comics making tool. I'm wasted and I can draw better than SJW. I'll bet you can, dude. I bet you can. Tool breakdowns. I agree with that.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I do. Yeah. You can almost see there's a Mission to Mars. Where is it? Mission to Mars spacesuit right there. I collect movie props, so there's a lot of stuff in here that's really cool. That Captain America shield back there is not like a commercially available thing. It's actually from old Marvel comics. You know, Jim Krueger, the writer of Earth X, is probably my favorite thing of his. But we published Foot Soldiers. That was a good pal of him. But he worked marketing for Marvel. And speaking of Captain America, I was like, man, I'm the biggest Captain America fan of all time. And it was like, do you have like a cap shield kicking around? He's like, no. Come on, man. They dress up. The guys dress up in open supermarkets. And like a year later, I get this giant box sent to my apartment. Like, what the hell is this? And it's that shield. They had, when they redid costumes for different guys, they redid the shield. So thanks, Jim. I think enough time has passed. Marvel won't be coming for me.
Is that screen you? Is that
no? But it's the thing that the Marvel guys that went to bookstore openings and stuff used in their Captain America suit. So,
Steve, what is your obsession with Larry's forbidden closet of mystery? The Adobe people backpedaled and started saying CB was for beginners and kids, not for pros, but it's a mainstream graphic design program. I think they had no idea what they were getting into.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But it's not like they
Herrenberg. We did that last time.
Huh?
Those are the Herrenberg guys. Yeah, no, I love that comic. That was great.
Too bad Adobe doesn't have anybody working for them who knows anybody who knows things about comics. That's what I wish.
Oh man. Hey, speaking of that, can I tell you a quick thing about Adobe? You remember we reprinted Shatter, the first computer? The first
Mike
computer?
Sentience?
Yeah, Mike Sentience.
I didn't realize you reprinted. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. In black and white, you reprinted
it. In black and white, yeah. Yeah. Off the original files, which was insane. That entire book, it was all the John Sable things and the first Mike Sentience books. That entire book was a meg, right? And the cover was 5 because it was in color. That just was so funny.
Awesome.
Anyway, nobody in the direct market cared except for me because it's like the first computer thing. But my wife was working for Adobe at the time, and we sold twice as much to people at Adobe because it was the first computer comic. So that book actually made money, and it looked like it didn't in the direct market.
Well, it's funny because I'm remembering back in time to little Danny in the 80s now, and I had a program on my old Mac SE that was called like Comic something, and it was a graphic design thing for making comics.
Yeah, that was Mike Sentience who wrote that. That's
Sentience clip art in it.
Right.
I used to make all kinds of fun comics, and that was not even close to as sophisticated.
That was the guy. What I thought it was MS Paint that he used, but he did. He wrote his own comic app for the old Mac SEs.
Yeah, that's what I used it on. It was great. You had word balloons and stuff, and you could use all your Mac fonts, and it was what it was.
His art was amazing because that's like drawn photorealism with a bar of soap, because that's what mouses were like back then. And he would draw a line and delete stuff. That's insane.
It's almost like the old guys who would do engravings of things.
Yes, exactly.
I mean? That meticulous.
Digital pointillism. That's what we used to call it.
Okay.
If you love Blade Runner, you'll love Shatter.
Okay, we're almost out of comments here.
Foot soldiers. Steve does know all my secrets. He's worn my my alien suit. I have a spacesuit from the first Alien. Actually, I think it was his wife actually put that on. Anyway.
Shatter is a big hit every year at San Diego Comic-Con. Watching people pick that up is awesome. Shatter, was it originally in black and white, or was it originally?
No, it was in color.
Okay,
so what they did was he did the art digitally in black and white. They printed out, and then they did color keys on the printouts, and then did it like traditional comic book publishing. So that's what was really cool for me, like 25 years later, to use the digital stuff that they had predicted to actually do a book that was a collection of the old stuff from. It was just great.
Are the color files though available for the individual pages?
I couldn't tell you.
Because this is screaming for a digital release, Larry. We got digital comics. Now this is a digital comic that has never been released digitally. It was the first digital comic.
That's a great idea. There's probably some rights issues. The way that we did it was incredible because our entertainment lawyer was the guy who did all the contracts for First back in the day. So yeah, so it was the guy walked into the old Isotope comic book store.
Yeah, sure.
We were building our house, and I had a office upstairs while we were building the house, and just a guy walked in and said, "Oh yeah, you guys know anything about this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I love Mike Sentience." And he pulled out his computer and went, "Oh yeah, I did all the art for that. I still have this." I was like, "What?" So we arranged to publish it. It was great. Great fun.
Awesome.
Nobody cared but me, and it was still worth it.
All right, I care.
Yeah.
Larry. DC seemed to be taking chances in that 85, 86 era. A lot of stuff never seemed to have gotten reprinted. Man, 86 is often called like the greatest year of comics ever. I agree with that because it's the year that I started working in the comics industry. I was 11. But what amazing comics that came out in that era, right? We got Batman 1, we had Dark Knight Returns, we had Watchmen, we had so many books that came out.
Camelot 3000, Electra Lives. Was that might have been a little earlier, but still that was good time.
Anyway, that era was great for
good time for comics.
Start experimenting, pulling stuff in was just really cool. And for that to be a time when I was just discovering comics, that was the thing. I had never read a Batman comic really that I could get into. I liked Spider-Man, but I could never read Batman of that era until in like third grade, some kid is like, dude, Batman, The Dark Knight Returns. Look at this thing. And he put it in front of me and I'm just like, what? This is Batman? Like, I knew Batman as Adam West in the TV show. So it was just like, it's hard for people to imagine because all we know now is dark Batman influenced by Frank Miller, right? So like when it happened though, tell me about where you were when in 86 that dropped.
I loved Adam West, but I also grew up with Neil Adams Batman and Jim Aparo Batman. So I was like, this is great. It was like a, full-on detective thing. And then I love the Marshall Rogers, Steve Englehart Batman, super clean. But yeah, I was actually cutting granite and trying to get back to college and then get my comics through the post. I was in the middle of nowhere, Georgia. There was no comic stores really to speak of anywhere. And so I looked at, I loved Frank Miller from Daredevil. So like, oh, he's taking a shot at Batman. I'll get this. Blew my mind. Opened that box. I remember like sitting in my bedroom, opening the box, going, "Hey, here's this month's comics. That's cool. What the hell is this?" It's like, wow, Frank Miller. Yeah, it was a bomb dropping in comics, and that we still get the echoes from today, right? Because it's still
everything from the panel layouts to the coloring to the format. It was the first prestige format comic, right? So like that was a big, if not the first, it's the first DC one, if not the first.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, well, no, did they? Yeah, I mean, I know the Star-Lord one was before that at Marvel, so maybe it was the first DC one.
First DC one for sure. Okay, we're almost done here. Let's see. 86 was definitely magic comics. 80s comics were so great. If only we could reach those heights again. Yeah. Can we, Larry? Can we reach those? Take us out, Larry, with some optimism.
Oh, I think, comics are great. I just think there's too much attention for people to, the people who like comics can get their gig from, get their hit from Marvel movies now. So, I think comics can do it though. Comics, there's just something about, I was telling you before, it's something about opening that book and smelling the ink and the paper and, transports you to another world.
I was thinking about this a lot. And the thing that I think makes comic my favorite, like storytelling medium, like visual medium, let's say, is that the barrier to entry is so low that one single person can put out by themselves, literally can put out a comic that is as good or better than anything that the best comic book publishers can put out. It's totally doable. And it's been done.
We used to say that all the time. It's like the $13 that you spend on a Batman trade is the same $13 you have to spend on, one of the AIT trades. So, there you go.
Great point,
do the job.
All right, I got to get out of here, Larry.
All right, Dan, always a pleasure. You know that.
Thank you so much.
And good job, everybody, doing the work on those comics. I got some more stuff to buy.
Great stuff. Thanks, Larry. We'll see you next time, buddy. Thanks.
All right, Dan. Thanks a lot.
All right, everybody. That was Larry. Larry's awesome. I love talking about comics with people who really know about comics. And that's who we bring on the show. And if you're watching, and especially if you're still watching, then you really care and love comic books, not just the mainstream stuff. You want to see the new stuff and the interesting stuff and all kinds of experiments and all kinds of stuff, just like I do. So please, please, folks, send those comics. I'm going to flash my address one more time for y'all. Send your comic books to Comic Book News with Dan Shahin, P.O. Box 1163, Arcata, California, 95518. It's beautiful here in Arcata. I love it. The only problem is the lack of indie comics. So bring them on, people. Okay. Wow. Next time, this Tuesday, coming up Tuesday, who are we going to talk to? Oh, nobody that interesting, I guess. Only Chuck Rosansky, only like the most famous comics retailer of all time and one of the most interesting comic book characters that there is, dude. He's been on the show before on a panel, and we had a little taste. And just the clips that I pulled from that and the few conversations, the few things that he had to say, had everybody loving it. This one, we're going deep. We're going to go all the way back to how he started, his humble roots, where the Mile High Collection came from, how he created one of the biggest online comic collections ever, how he stopped getting new comics, his lifestyle changes, the political turmoil and controversy that he's been through. Yeah, no holds barred. We're going to talk about it all because, as Chuck said, he's proud of who he is and he doesn't care who knows it and he's ready to talk about it. And that's just one of the reasons I love that guy. We're also going to talk about his humanitarian work. That guy is doing stuff on a daily basis to just like help the people with the least among us in his community, right? Like he's not just like donating money. He's going out on the streets and he's helping people. And we're definitely going to talk about that as well as everything that he's got to do in the comics industry. So, okay. Have I talked enough? I think I have. I got to go take care of my kids now. Thank you for watching. Thank you. If you haven't already, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Please consider hitting the thumbs up. I got a lot of people that hit thumbs down even without watching this stuff. Please consider hitting thumbs up if you liked it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to beg for likes. I'm just going to say, please think about it. And also think about sticking around through the credits. I'm going to play some closing credits here. They're not very long. It's like a minute. No, 30 seconds actually for the credits. And there'll be a little bitty cameo at the end. Nothing too crazy, but like we do every time, but it's worth sticking around to see your name. And if you want to see your name in those credits or in the credits at the beginning of the show, click the join button, select one of our levels of membership, and you too can have your name displayed on Comic Book News. Amazing. Okay. Thanks for watching. Stick around. We'll see you when? Next time.
Hey, this is Rob Liefeld, Deadpool, Cable, Domino, X-Force, New Mutants, Image Comics, all of it. What is up? Coming to you live here from my beautiful home office to tell you all that there is a YouTube show that you absolutely have to check out, the Comic Book News. Comic Book News with Dan Shahin. Dan Shahin. He's got your comic book news for you. The latest, the greatest, the bestest of the restest with Dan Shahin on the Comic Book News. Go to YouTube, search Comic Book News. There's probably going to be a link with this. Hit that. Check it out. You love comics. I love comics. I love nothing more than to hear news about comics and upcoming comics. And Dan's your man. He's got your news. Comic Book News. Dan Shahin. Check it out. Rob Liefeld out.